Welcome back to Base Sunday. Our political expert, Melissa Griffin-Caen, sat down with San Francisco State Senator Mark Leno this week to talk all things California, politics, and San Francisco. Here's Melissa.
We're here with State Senator Mark Leno. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Melissa, great to be with you.
Thanks. So in the news lately has been the kill switch legislation, which you were the driving force behind. For our viewers, could you talk a little bit about what that was and sort of why it's such a proud achievement for you?
Sure. So the kill switch is referring to a technological deterrent solution for a new wave, a real epidemic of street crime. 2 out of 3 robberies in San Francisco today include a smartphone. 2 out of 3. In Oakland, it's 3 out of 4. In the past year, the number of smartphones stolen in the United States has doubled from 1.6 million to 3.1 million smartphones just last year. So this is a real market shift in crime. Criminals are shifting from drugs to smartphones because there's so much more money to be made in smartphones. But it is a crime of convenience. Every one of us with a smartphone on us walking down the street, we're just a target.
I know, I am totally engrossed.
It's a crime of convenience. End the convenience, we can end the crime. So it is a deterrent, a technological deterrent. We want in the criminal's mind that before he socks you in the face or knocks you to the ground, grab your phone and run with it, that he needs to understand it's not worth his time, his trouble, his effort or risk, because it's going to be worthless. That if your phone was taken from you, you could go online to another mobile device, to your laptop, your desktop, put in your name, your identifying information, and be able to disable it remotely. So it would be worth no more than a brick.
Now, I remember when I first heard about this legislation thinking, this is a no-brainer. Of course, this is going to pass. Like, of course. But it was rather difficult. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, telecom industry lined up against it. And we know that industry, no matter what industry, never likes to be told by government how to conduct its business.
Of course.
But this was a public safety issue. We had the full support from day one of the State Sheriff's Association, the State Police Chiefs Association, the State District Attorneys Association, because they knew this was a crime that we could end. There have been people killed in these incidents, but the trade association for both the cellular carriers as well as the manufacturers opposed it start to finish. They kept on saying that this was infeasible, unworkable, undoable, that it just couldn't happen. The technology wasn't there. It was going to be an imposition. It was going to be put greater risk at hacking, and public safety would be put at risk. But in fact, working with their membership, Apple, Google, Microsoft, BlackBerry, AT&T, Verizon, we took amendments and were able to make some minor adjustments that worked better for them, because I think they finally saw the writing on the wall. This was going to happen. First and foremost, their consumers want this. So when your consumer base wants something that's a consumer protection, it doesn't make a lot of sense for you, corporation, to keep saying no, no, no. So finally they said, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it voluntarily. And then there was the difference between opting in, which is what they originally wanted, and we insisted be opt out, meaning that it will be the default position when you buy a new phone, and when you activate it, it's already there. You could opt out if you want. We don't want to deny consumers an option, but otherwise you don't have to download it, you don't have to know about it, you don't have to proactively do anything.
Now, I understand that the new iPhone 6s have this technology in them.
Just as I've described it, it will be an opt-out.
Have they sent you a free one? As if to say, here you go, leave us alone now. Did they?
I'm not looking for a phone, but a thank you note might be nice. Likely, this is the way phones will be made, not just here in California, but across the country going forward. And we'll look back, as we often do, and wonder, what was that battle all about? It just makes so much sense. As you say, a no-brainer. Now,
so switching to sort of a more local issue, I wanted to talk to you about the challenges in getting district-specific legislation passed in the legislature. I know you had an experience this year with some legislation that would have been beneficial to San Francisco specifically, but it was shot down, and look, the 6-state solution is silly, and of course it was never going to pass. But I think it really tapped into this feeling that regions have that maybe other parts of the state aren't sensitive enough to the specific needs of certain regions in the state. So can you talk to us about that?
So sure. When I go up to Sacramento every year to do a year's worth of legislative work, not unlike my colleagues from all over the state, and we are a very diverse state, not just in ethnicity, but in geography and in ideology, ways that we approach the world. And oftentimes we'll be asked to carry a piece of legislation by our hometown, one of our cities in our districts, a county in our district. And it's called a district bill. It might have to do with some water project, or maybe the Salton Sea if you're from San Diego, some district-specific issue. Well, we have a housing crisis in San Francisco. We have a rental market in San Francisco unique to the state. No other city comes close to the
Unique in the nation.
percentage of San Franciscans who rent, and the nature of being surrounded by water on three sides. It's not like we can expand city boundaries. So we're in a unique, not uncommon, unique situation. And so I authored a bill sponsored by our mayor that would have given San Francisco some authority to be able to deal with these no-cause evictions. You're paying your rent on time, you're a good neighbor, you're a good tenant, and suddenly you're out on the street because you have been Ellis acted out of your rental unit. And so it just would have required that San Franciscans who own rental property own it 5 years before they can make use of the statewide statutory allowance for a landlord to evict all tenants for the purpose of going out of the business of being a landlord. But it's being abused now by people who aren't landlords, don't intend or pretend to be landlords. They're speculators. They buy property not to have tenants, but to evict them so that they can make a profit on their property. This was a very heavy lift. It would have impacted no one else's district in the whole state. Of course, the California Realtors Association, which worked so hard to kill our bill, and unfortunately successfully in the end for them, they made the argument that this was the nose under the camel's tent, that first it'll happen here in San Francisco, there'll be precedent, it'll happen in other parts of the state, so it would have greater, but that's all conjecture. We were dealing with a specific situation in San Francisco, and of course there can't be quid pro quo among colleagues. I'll vote for your bill if you vote for mine, but there's a respect. No, you can't do that, that's not legal. But there traditionally has been a respect that if I make a case to you, my colleague, that I've got an issue in my district, I hope you'll be open-minded to support mine. I probably would have that in mind if a year later the situation's reversed, and I'm trying to make the point to you.
Are you going to reintroduce the Ellis Act bill next year?
We're going to give it serious consideration. I'm 100% committed to the issue. These no-cause evictions must come to an end because the fabric of our city is changing so very, very quickly, and people shouldn't have to go to bed at night fearing they're going to be on the street tomorrow for no cause.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today,
Yeah.
Senator Leno. For Bay Sunday, I'm Melissa Griffin-Caen.
Thank you, Melissa. More Bay Sunday right after the break. Stay right there.